Right, guys, are we completely cooked? That is the question on everyone's mind, and that is what we're going to be trying to answer today, because things are not looking too healthy for the old Bitcoin. We just collapsed to $70,000, and it's looking bleak. And we can see breaking news. Strategy, MicroStrategy, is down 9% in the last 8 hours, wiping out 3.7 billion in market cap. Strategy is now down 77% from its all-time high, and its Bitcoin holdings are sitting at $1.77 billion unrealized loss. We'll get back to my thought process on this, but I want to run through what is going on, because Bitcoin is currently forecasted to go as low as $67,000 this month, according to the traders over on Kalshi. We also have an interesting fact here. Only about 6% of assets in Bitcoin's ETFs have left. That means 94% are hanging through this pain, despite a nasty 40% downturn and many being underwater. OGs, on the other hand, are actually showing that most ETF holders haven't sold and are sitting through this. It's the big whales dumping endlessly, but ETF buyers are just holding. Now, it's interesting, right? Because what you have to think is, well, are the whales dumping because they know something, or are the whales dumping because they've had such a great run? That is really a question that we can't answer with absolute certainty. But I would say that if I was a whale of, massive proportions, I bought Bitcoin at, say, 1K or $100, and it was now at, 70 to 100,000. It seems like the run's coming to an end. Would I be maybe getting out to diversify my portfolio, maybe go into cash for further downside of not only Bitcoin, but also the stock market at all-time highs? We see one of the biggest indicators, which is precious metals, going absolutely rocketing, which shows that there is uncertainty in the market, right? So would I be maybe deploy or moving some Bitcoin into cash ready to deploy if we get, a 2008 type crash? Maybe that is what's happening. So with that thought, right, we have to be aware that Bitcoin can go significantly lower. We have lost the previous support, right? So this is what we were talking about. This is back here potentially. And if, say, for example, look, let's go put it down onto the weekly. We zoom out in moments like this. You can see that we did go down below. You can see here, we briefly went down in this weekly candle below the low, right? But it really was a quick move to the upside and then the new high, right? So in order for a similar thing to happen, we would need this to turn around fast. Right now, we're at the lowest point, 70,700 at the time of recording this video. You see this line right here? This is the previous all-time high. So guys, the previous all-time high in the last bear market was right here, and we only spent 60 days below it. So depending on how you define crypto winners, where you think the bottom is, this circle could really be the bottom. And I really don't think it's that bad. Now, 20% down, let's say, from here. Does it really matter at this point? I don't think it does personally. And I'm going to be taking advantage of this move. This morning, I did actually buy. I DCA'd Bitcoin at 70K. I explained that I'll DCA at 65, at 60, at 55, at 50, at 45, at 40, etc. That is the game that I believe. And some might call that blind faith. Some might call me an idiot. But if it works, I'll be a genius once again, and we'll just have to see, right? I'm absolutely not a genius. It absolutely is blind faith. But what it is blind faith using like 10% of my portfolio, right? That's how much I want really as my Bitcoin exposure in my portfolio at this point in my investment journey. So I'm going to continue to buy Bitcoin using my income, using the income I get monthly, the stuff that's left on top of all of my expenses. And I'll continue to do that, right? Until Bitcoin, which I believe will do the same thing again as it always does, it will break back above and I'll stop buying once again. So you see around this region right here was where I stopped buying Bitcoin. I started buying right here, which I believe was similar to 80K. 40K for the last bear market. I started buying all the way down, continued all the way to here, have an average price of about 35 from those buys, right? Don't forget that I was also buying here, but for these buys, I have an average price of, let's say, 30K. And then guess what? I stopped buying all the way up and now we're down again. I start buying once again. And I'm just going to rinse and repeat this process. And in these market pushes to the upside, don't forget, taking profits. This time around, I didn't take profits from my spot Bitcoin, but I took profits from my Bitcoin adjacent investments, basically my leverage plays on Bitcoin, which at the time was CleanSpark. Now, obviously, it would have been lovely to take more profits from my spot bag here and reinvest them down here. That would have been the ideal situation. However, I put more weight and emphasis on holding Bitcoin for the long term than I do for the short term swings. That is specifically for my spot bag. Now, using leverage, both literally crypto leverage, but also leverage bets like CleanSpark, that's how I generate cash flow and profit in order to have cash flow in scary moments or cash piles in scary moments like this. That's how I like to move in this market. And again, guys, I'm not saying that I timed this perfectly. Absolutely not. I made a really good trade on CleanSpark. So far, I've made a bad investment on BMNR, Tom Lee's Ethereum company, and I only took 25% of the altcoins. I had 75% still running right now. So by no means did I play this spot market the way I wanted to. My cash flow and my good moves came from my levered bets. So that's what's happened. That's what we do. And what do I do now? Okay, I reflect. In a bear market, in a crypto winter, what we do in these moments is we have to look back and we have to think, what mistakes did we make? What did we do well? And how can I apply this to the next move? So with my thesis, with my thoughts, what did I do well? Okay, well, I deployed capital when everyone was scared in the last bear market. That was the best thing. So I'm going to do that again. What did I do wrong? I didn't take enough profits in the short periods of time where we did have euphoria. Where did we have euphoria? For example, the end of 2024, the start of 2025. Now, how could we have known that that could have been a good time to take profits? One of the things is we can use this right here, December 24. Look at this. It actually perfectly called the top once again. The fear and greed index was at 75, but I didn't take enough of this. I didn't take this literally enough, right? I actually am very good at buying the fear, but last bull market, the 2021 bull market, I actually was good at taking profits, but this one I didn't play it as well. So again, guys, this data, right? It's so simple, but it called the perfect top. So now we know, right? 75 to 85. All right, let's not let our greed, our emotion get in front of us. That was a great profit taking. And right there, guess what it was? It was the alt season. We spoke about this on the live stream yesterday. Someone informed me that a lot of influencers and people think we didn't have an alt season. As you know, if you've been following this channel for what? A year and a half, you would know during that time, I thought that was an alt season. We had the SUI leverage trade that was going extremely well, extremely fast upwards. We made a lot of profit with that. We had some meme coins we made profits on. We had some meme coins we didn't make some profits on, but we had that meme season where billions of dollars was flowing into meme coins, billions of dollars into the likes of XRP, Solana, and I believe that was the alt season, right? Since then, alts have essentially been in a bear market. But again, what we have to do and what I have to do every day, I'm learning, every market I'm learning, every cycle I'm learning. What I have to do is be more aware of the data that I use. I chose the right data sets, but I let my greed, I let my bullish thesis get in the way of taking more profits. So again, the fear and greed index, zooming out, seeing the perfect look. The perfect buys in the history have been when Bitcoin is trading really below 20 and even better below 10. It's much rarer when it's below 10, but you know, below 20, taking profits above 70, right? Bitcoin and altcoins, right? That seems to be great places to take some profits, timing it very well. Not perfectly, not perfect tops, not perfect bottom. So again, right now we're in extreme fear, right? Extreme fear. In the history, extreme fear has been a great time to buy. So again, I'll continue to do what I'm good at, which is buying in extreme fear. And I'm going to continue to try and learn, which is taking more profits when greed hits the market. That's what I need to get better at. So far, I'm building that up. And again, the mistakes we make are the price we pay in the university of trading, crypto, investing, and all of that. And it creates the trader and investor that you become, right? So hopefully you enjoyed this video, guys. Hopefully the market does start to bounce. But if it doesn't, don't let it deter you. Think about why you've bought Bitcoin. Why are we here? What are we doing? And what will I do if we continue to fall? Right now, we seem like we're just doing the same thing we've always done, falling from the highs, regaining the lows, retesting previous resistance, but most importantly, testing your patience. Can you make it through this? Time will tell, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.